In this video, I'll show you how you can clone the Aura Ring landing page for yourself and create something like this. All done within 3 prompts. So the very first thing you want to do is obviously going to be on the Aura website. However, we need to take a whole screenshot of this landing page. Now, as you can see, Aura's landing page is very in-depth. It has a lot of pictures, animations, subtle fade-ins, a lot of writing, a lot of just visuals architecturally. Now, the thing is, we can't just take a screenshot regularly. So what we can do is we can go to our extension, and you can get this extension for free. It's called Go Full Page. And what Go Full Page will do is it'll take a screenshot of every single frame as it scrolls down the landing page, and it'll stitch it together to curate the whole landing page. And there you go. You have the whole Aura Ring landing page. Now what we can do is just save this. Now that we've saved this, we're gonna go to an LLM of our choice. So I'm going to Gemini, and I'm just gonna drag and drop this image in. So once you've dragged and dropped your image in, you're gonna enter this prompt. And that prompt is generate a PRD one-to-one replica of the Aura Ring landing page design I want to replicate. So I told Gemini attached is an image of the Aura Ring landing page, and I want the style in terms of how everything is formatted with, this little square right here, these right here, the arrangement of everything. So we have a CTA here with news, then we have more information here, 3 tiles, everything, all of this structural arrangement, and you have this hero right here. And so now we're going to send it off to Gemini to create our PRD. Okay, now that we have our generated PRD, all we can do is we can just copy this. So now that we have it copied, we're going to go to our design tool, Glamour. Once we're inside of Glamour, all we can do is just paste in our PRD. In this example, I'm going to be using Gemini 3.5 Flash, but you can feel free to use any model of your choice. But I'm going to paste in our PRD, and then to visually guide the model as well, I'm going to also attach a reference screenshot from Go Full Page of the whole landing page of Aura Ring, and this helps guide the model visually alongside the prompt, so we can cross-reference how it looks with the directions. So now that I've attached the actual PRD prompt and the landing page screenshot, now I can go ahead and just send it. And what's going to happen now is we're going to be in the planning phase of Glamour. And what Glamour is going to do here is ask us a few questions to make sure it gets the general design direction correct, and then it'll generate our actual design for us. So now it's asking, should the imagery lean towards a bright sunlight aesthetic or darker, more moody cinematic vibe to contrast with the cream backgrounds? I think, so this is referring to like the differences. As you can see, it's like more cream and white here, then it goes to more sunlit here, then it goes back to dark here. So we're gonna go for a mix of both. And so now that we have answered Glamour's questions, we're gonna go with the branding questions, which basically asks like what font we want and what branding palette. However, since we already outlined everything in our PRD, we're just gonna scan let the prompt decide, which will give it to the model. Same with our color palette. But now here's the thing. If you take a look at Aura Ring's landing page, right? They have this, if I refresh this, they have this of like a ladybug going inside of the Aura Ring, right? We don't have anything like that. However, inside of Glamour, we can use these cinematic videos to replicate something to that extent. It's obviously not gonna have the exact same video in here, but we can use something that could replicate the Aura Ring hero in a suitable fashion. So I think the best video here that depicts that is gonna be, so for the Aura landing page, I think the best thing that comes remotely to depicting this scene and this video is using like this crystal or this crystal right here, and even potentially like the silicone wafer. I think this is a bit too dark, so I'm just gonna go with our polyhedron made out of glass. And I'm gonna press continue, and now that's our whole planning phase complete. So Glamour right there, we've selected the video we want to use, and now we can go ahead and generate our design. So now it's gonna just analyze everything. Gemini 3.5 Flash is gonna go over everything, and then I'll cut back when Gemini finally makes our first iteration. Okay, so Glamour has generated our first iteration of our Aura landing page, and as you can see, it's gotten the basic foundation and framework right. Obviously, it's not gonna have the same images Aura uses, so it's made replacements or it's just left them empty. But for the most part, I think it's kind of there. However, we can improve this and iterate on this a bit more. If you take a look, when you're just scrolling down, there's no subtle fade-in animations, and I think the font is lacking in a bit being more cinematic, as well as the color palette. It should be more sunset, orange here. If you go as you can see, it gets more kind of orange, and then it goes down into a gray. So I think we need to add some transitions between the color palette within the background, and then make the font a bit more cinematic, and then actually add fade-in animations. So I'll prompt Glamour that right now to see what we can get. Okay, so I've basically told as a follow-up that there needs to be more subtle fade-in blends of the background color. So right now it's fully cream and white. However, it needs to transition into a bit of orange subtly, into a bit of orange, and then there should also be fade-in of objects of these cards right here as you scroll, and then a bit more cinematic in how the font is kind of different at times. It should be more cleaner with modern fonts here, and then this Apple Garment elegant fonts, and then finally just making it more cleaner and matching the screenshots. I've also told it to kind of add animation. So if you go on the actual landing page on Aura, if you just hover over the thing, it shows the nav bar for you and its contents automatically. So you can add a bit of that, and then I'm just gonna send it off. And I'll see what Glamour makes on its second iteration. Okay, and with just 2 to 3 prompts, I think we've kind of got it. So we have the nav bar kind of, it's not as smooth and clean, but you can obviously just touch that up a bit. We have now as you scroll in, you have the little subtle orange sunset color here. If you go down, as you can see, it kind of gets more subtle and orange right there. And then you scroll down and you have a bit of some fade-in animations, and again you have that orange right there, and you have more stuff, and then finally you have basically some prototype version of the Aura landing page, which I think is not bad. In 2 to 3 prompts you created this, so it's not bad at all.